Hello, again, this is Larry Lunsford, and I'm here to talk about a person by the name of David E. Taylor, who goes by the title of Apostle David E. Taylor of JMMI or Joshua Media Ministries International. I served with him for multiple years, I believe from 97, the end of 97 to 2004. So I know all of the intra workings of this cult. One of the things I want to talk to you guys today about is something, um, a fundraiser that he did. And back then, it was called Resurrection Media Ministries. Now it's Joshua Media Ministries International. But back then, it was called Resurrection Media Ministries here in the city of Florissant, Missouri, off of Weehop and Patterson. And I believe it was like the 4100 block. That's the address where he, on the deposition, he said he didn't know where the ministry was. It was in Florissant, Missouri. The zip code was 63031, I believe it was. And it was a building, storefront building. It was a church, storefront church on one side and ministry office on the other side. And that's where we all did business or what have you. Nonetheless, he started this concept. It was a fundraiser called Jesus Sponsorship Ministries. And on the t-shirts, it had, what would you do if you had cancer? And I think on the back it said, would you want someone to help you? And then it had the same thing on the canisters, it was kind of like, the Salvation Army when you see them out there ringing the bells at Christmas time, but we did it on the intersections, okay, on the street corners in the city and county of St. Louis, Missouri. So when the cars pull up to the intersection, it'd be like three of us would take a row of cars and we would run. Say, would you like to make a donation to Jesus Sponsorship Ministry? And people would just donate $1, $5, $10, or whatever. Some people would make $1,000 a day. I wasn't all that good at it, so I might make $125 a day, $200 or whatever. I wasn't all that good at it. I remember I made $4,000 altogether, during the course of the thing, which wasn't good enough for David Taylor. Some people made, $15,000, $16,000 by themselves. I remember a couple of women would always make $900 to $1,000 a day by themselves. Just the women, mainly made more money than the men. But nonetheless, it was called Jesus Sponsorship Ministries, and he played on the cause of cancer. What would you do if you had cancer? Would you want someone to help you? And I mean, people would just give. Ooh, bam, giving money, $10, $20, $100, And we would get out there. Some people would get out there when the sun came up, and they would stay until 8:45. That's when everybody would get off. David would only give you $5 for lunch or $5 for that whole day. That's all you had to eat. Okay. And then it got to the point where he would, I can't remember which one came first. I know we ended up getting $5 a day to eat in the hot sun. And it can get up to 100 degrees in the summertime in St. Louis, but it'll feel like 110. And I can remember people's toenails were falling off. As dark as I am, I had a sunburn. I had arthritis at the time, and it was just slave labor. And a lot of people liken it to pimps and hoes, because he had us out on the street corners making money while he drove around in his white and gold Mercedes Benz. Okay. Nonetheless, if I can remember right, we made $30,000 a week. Um, we did it 2 summers, and I think we either did $390,000 or $490,000 within those within 180 days, 90 days of one summer, 90 days of the other summer. And it was supposed to go for cancer. But this is what David Taylor did. None of that money went to cancer. What he did was he bought these giraffe crane. He bought all of this media equipment, cameras and boom cams and all this stuff for television. And how he spent it was this camera equipment and this television broadcast is a form of healing. So all this equipment is medical equipment because through TV we healing people. That's how he spun that. Makes my heart sad thinking about that. But that's what he did. And like I said, we raised either $390,000 or $400,000. I know we were making $30,000 a week. I do vividly do remember that. And it was called Jesus Sponsorship Ministry. Most people here in St. Louis, if you remember, us out on the intersection, that's exactly what that was about. Now, I can remember working that hard in the ministry. 9 o'clock in the morning to about 8:45 at night when the sun went down. It might have even been earlier than that sometimes. Only one meal per day. Out on the intersection running all day long from car to car to car to car to car to car. And I remember one day Apostle David Paul, I think he's out of Detroit if I remember right, good true man of God, and he was doing a crusade downtown. I think it was called the Riverfront Hotel at the time. And he called the ministry off, and he requested that David Taylor's ministry do the ushering for his crusade. So we had to stop fundraising for Jesus Sponsorship Ministry, go back to the office or home or how, I can't remember how we did it, but we ended up getting changed and we ended up meeting downtown St. Louis. So the crusade is going on. And I can remember Apostle David Paul said, this is a great service and so forth, blah, blah, blah. It was packed in there too. And he said, but it's time to take up the offering. And I think he said he needed $7,000 for the offering. And I believe we made $9,000 that day. And if those numbers are wrong, he may have needed $5,000 that day to pay off the crusade, and we made $7,000. It was a $2,000 difference, and I'll explain that in a second. And let's just lowball it and say he needed $5,000 to pay off the crusade. Well, he was tugging on people's heart to give an offering and blah, blah, blah. And I can remember David Taylor got up and he walked up to the front and he said, he whispered something in Apostle David Paul's ear. And I can remember Apostle David Paul, his eyes kind of bucked. And he looked at David and he said, my Lord, this man paid off the entire crusade. And everybody went up and just praised and clapping and whatnot. And all of David Taylor's enemies was there. And what I mean by enemies, a lot of pastors here in St. Louis do not like David Taylor. It is what it is, And that's because of him trying to spiritually bully people and poking people in their chest and their head and all this craziness that David Taylor does. So after the crusade, we walked Apostle David Paul out to his car and he leaves. We went back and rendezvoused with all the men and women of the staff and David Taylor. And when I remember we walked up on him and he was just sitting looking all pitiful and trying to look humble and using that old soft lotion Johnson baby voice. Oh, I hope I did the right thing. Oh, I hope I didn't miss God. And he wasn't saying that uh, as if, like, he wasn't saying, he was saying that so people can say, oh, Apostle, you did a good job. That was God. You didn't miss God. Yeah, you did a good job by paying the whole that. He a man of God. You should have paid his ministry, y'all. But the Lord, But he was doing that to get accolades and that type of sympathy, but that kind of praise for doing that what he did, which was paying off that ministry with the money that we made for Jesus sponsorship that day. And I can remember him saying, oh, I might as well just take you all out for dinner, which he never did. He said, we got $2,000 left. Let's just go out to eat. Now we are happy because we don't eat. He never feeds you. He doesn't pay you. So we go out to some restaurant, and I can remember earlier that day, I had asked David Taylor for $25. And let me give you the backstory to that. My wife and I had separated because of the ministry. And I ended up having to pay child support. And my child support was only, listen to this, $25 a week. $25 a week is all I had to pay. So I went to David Taylor one day and I said, Apostle, she getting child support on me. I'm working in the ministry all these hours and, it's not for me. It's for my daughter, to buy Pampers and milk and, all the things a little baby need, but just $25. He said, I'll take care of that for you. He did that 5 times. In other words, he gave me $125 for 5 weeks straight. I came to him on that 6th week and I asked him, what's going on with the $25? And there he is, soft like lotion. Oh, the Lord, the ministry is struggling and the Lord is going to provide and all that old soft sissy type talk. Now, mind you, I'm doing Jesus sponsorship ministry on top of crusades, on top of going to radio stations, on top of cleaning the ministry office and all, everybody doing multiple things, typing books, editing books and all of this other, doing tapes and all this stuff. I'm worth $25, an hour, let alone $25 a week. Not for me, but again, for my daughter. So, we outside of this restaurant, I turned to one of the brothers and I was like, hey man, I would rather for David to give me $25 so I can pay my child support. I don't care about eating, although I'm hungry and don't want to sit and watch y'all have this festivities in front of my face. But me being a man, I would rather for him to give me $25 so I can at least look my daughter and my wife in the face with some sort of, I'm a man. Here's $25. This is the least I can do. And he said, man, you should just go talk to Apostle. But David has this barrier, if you will. If you're in his ministry, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes he's just not approachable. And I didn't think that was an approachable time. So we get in the restaurant, everybody orders food. I remember I ordered a steak and potatoes and this, that, and the other. Got some dessert, and I remember my bill came up to over, I think it was like $26. And I felt horrible as a man. I felt horrible as a man that he could not do that for me. being out on the intersection all that time, making all of that money, and he looks me in the face and he says, "Oh, the Lord, we're going through really hard times in the ministry and this and that, but we making $30,000 a week." And see, I hear in the ministry that he has now, this JMMI, whatever, that he has all of these people living in a house, men on one floor, women on the bottom floor, whatever. And to order to even be in his ministry, you have to apply for food stamps and welfare. And you got to tell the state that you are homeless and you can't necessarily give them an address. That's his game. That's his hustle. So he's taking money from the state to feed his staff that he can easily pay, but he chooses not to. And the thing about that is they can't even spend their own food stamps. I'm told that they have a bucket of some sort. And if it's 20 guys, 25 guys that's on food stamps, even the women, they have to put their cards in this thing. And Michelle or whomever, but I don't know the truth of it, but they say Michelle is the one that will go do the shopping or disperse whoever, designate a person to go shopping or what have you. But point being, that's illegal. That is completely illegal and it's unethical. Everything about this man is crooked. Everything about this man is divisive. Everything about this man is harmful and hurtful to the body of Christ. David Taylor, you are a fraud. You are a fake. And I promise you, I'm going to chip away at you. And I'm going simply by telling the truth.